Well, hello there, viewers. Welcome back. I am your host, Dr. Joanne Frederick, the moderator for today's show, the Ask Dr. Joanne show. Well, today I have something special for you. Today we are going to interview an author, and we're going to be talking about my most recently published book called Copeology. Today, I would like Princess Dionna to join us.
Hey, Dr. J.
Hi, there you are, Princess Dionna, author. Mm. Well, I'm sure you heard backstage that we are going to be interviewing you and talking to you today about you as a person, you as an author. Um, I was just thinking, so, the viewers should know by now that I'm a licensed mental health professional. I
Yes.
mentioned that I'm an author, but as a clinician, a licensed professional, one of the things we do is we talk with people, we interview people, and we help them with their problems. But today, I like this side. We're not talking about problems. We're just getting to know Princess Diana. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So as Dr. J stated, I am Princess Dionna. I am an author. I am a producer. I'm now a talk show host. Um, I produce not only shows as well as book projects, and I've started doing some author coaching as well. I'm also an entrepreneur. I have my own business. I do medical billing. The name of the company is Bill with Ease. And I've even helped consult some other people that have decided to go into that medical billing field. So,
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And it's interesting, as you were saying all of those things, I was thinking about our relationship, our friendship, our business relationship. And it's interesting because you are the producer of the Ask Dr. Joanne show. If I remember correctly, you were like, hey, we need to do a show, X, Y, and Z. Tell us your journey in terms of being a producer for these YouTube channels and shows that you produce.
okay. So I think originally it's always started with somebody having an idea. And one of my natural God given talents is if somebody has an idea, the creative juices start flowing in my head, and I can visualize how to make that idea come to life. And before I started producing anything, before I started being an entrepreneur, I would do this for friends and family. Like they would tell me, I want to start a business. I want to do this, that, or the other. And I would sit there and listen to their passion and their excitement, and my creative juices mixed with their creativity would join together. And I would give them ideas of how they would be able to execute certain things. And I mean, so far as I would even research what licenses they might need to do the business. And actually, the year that you and I met, someone told me that I have to invest in myself the way that I invest in other people. And so that was the first time that I had ever gotten that type of advice before. But basically, I went on a journey, and that journey really did start that day that I met you. Um, and it was maybe like an hour before meeting you at the actual conference that we met at. But this person, they came over to me and they were like, you have so many gifts. You should start investing those gifts in yourself. And so that is how we got to me being the producer and the author, because I really did, start taking my own gifts and using them for my own benefit.
Yeah, wow, that is amazing. And even hearing you say this, it made me think of that you're a person who make dreams come true. You make other
Oh,
people's dreams come true, and it sounds to me like you make your own dreams come true. A
I do.
dream
I
maker.
work very hard at that.
Yeah, that is amazing. Love it, love it, love it. And so, I've heard you say author a couple times, and I've said it. Talk to us about your books that you've authored and different projects. Let me hear.
Okay, so my very first book that I published was a tribute to my mother, and it was just a book of sonnets. And the book of sonnets really, it's called Experiences of a Child, and it talks about the connection between you don't understand life until you become an adult and then you become a parent and you really understand some of the choices that your parents made. And so I remember when I first started talking about doing that particular book, there is one particular person that pops in my head, and she said, "You're doing what?" And what's the title of the book? Well, I mean, do you really think people are going to buy that? Or you think people are going to relate to
So our connection is a
that?
little bit off. Can you still hear me? Our connection is off. Okay. So I don't know if you can hear, right? But what I'll do is I'll kind of just talk a little bit until I know that you're on. Okay, because it's frozen
And
and
it's
then
so
it's
funny because when people actually go on my Amazon authors page and they look and see how many books I have
okay. So we did lose Princess. Okay, so she'll be back on shortly. Um, one of the things she was relating about the first book that she published was about her mother, but she also have a couple other books too. Even one that I remember she published during the pandemic about a little boy's journey during the pandemic. And I'm sure she'll talk a little bit about that as well. I think I just saw her coming back in, popping back in. So let's see. Okay,
There we go.
great. Here she is. She's back. All right. You wanted to continue?
Okay, so I'm not quite sure where within that story you all kind of left
Yeah.
off.
I think the last part was you talked about the first book that was about your mom, and then a friend was telling you that you should do something, and then that was the last thing we heard.
Gotcha. So basically, this friend they didn't agree with the topic,
Mhm.
and in them not agreeing with the topic, if I had have listened to them, I would have never gone on to publish other books. And so when I look back at that moment, I always use that as a moment to inspire other people because everybody isn't going to understand your why. Everybody isn't going to understand why you choose to do what you choose to do. And you have to be secure enough in your choices to just do it anyway. Because for me, that one book, if I hadn't have gone through with it really broke the threshold for me. It was one of my dreams that I had always had. And here it is now 7 books later. And
Wow.
now Copeology being the 8th,
Wow.
like I would have never even gotten there if I had have just listened to that person.
Wow. So, as you share that, a couple things come to me. So, one, when sometimes when people are negative, it drives us to continue and make a difference. And you could take that negativity and make it positive. That's what
Right.
I'm hearing. But even in the way you're speaking, I hear a motivational speaker as well. Like you motivate others and you motivate yourself, and then to hear so many books you've published. So, there's this stereotype about authors, right? Like I was reading about this recently. One of the stereotypes are that they're nerdy and all they do is read and write and just seem like boring. But I don't believe in those stereotypes. You tell me, what is it like to be an author? Tell us the deal.
Okay. So to be an author, first of all, you are always seeing things that maybe other people don't see.
Mm.
So for example, um, the book that we are reading in the book club that I just started, we selected my book to be one of the first books. And I base all of my stories in the DMV area. And it's funny because the people that have read the book so far, they're like, I know that part of Georgia Avenue. I
Mm.
know that part of Suitland. I remember that bus stop, people when they see me when I'm out in public and they've actually connected with a portion of the book, it's kind of like nostalgic for them. And so that's the thing that I think is being an author, is seeing the depth of a situation. So for example, you and I have been at many speaking engagements. And when we're there, the first three things that I pay attention to is, what does the room sound like?
Mm.
What does the room smell like? And what can I see?
Hmm.
And that's what I put in
Wow.
everything. So whether it's me writing a book or whether it's me producing a show, I actually think about what are those tangible inputs that somebody's going to see when they look at it. So for example, we're looking at each other's backgrounds, and we always make sure that the picture behind us is a certain way, the camera, the lighting, all of those things.
Wow.
But for whatever reason, those are the things that naturally come to me.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, as you described that, I was thinking about when I read, I like the story to come alive. And the three things you just talked about related to three of our scents, right? And sense of scent, meaning, you talked about smell, what it looks like visually. And when you write that way, it makes the book come alive. So I'm definitely curious to read more of your books because I've read some. But the most recent one you've done was Copeology. Not
Yes.
only are you an author, a contributing author, but you also help publish that book as well, with all the skills and talents that you have. Let me hear for you some of the behind the scenes with working with Copeology. What was that like for you? Because I also realize it's a different type of book as well. So your other books, you're the author, period. And this book, it seems more like a collaboration with other authors as well. Let me hear your journey with that.
So Copeology definitely was a book that is totally different from any other book that I've ever wrote before. And I think it's because one, yes, I did help to publish, but because it's an anthology type of a book, it introduces so many different vantage points and so many different emotions. And so the first thing that I realized was, even though I've been a part of other collaborative projects before, this collaborative project meant something different to me because I wanted to make sure that everyone's story came across as smooth as, they were trying to express it to be. So that was the first thing that I noticed that was different. But the other things that I noticed about this project, Copeology, was a book that actually helps to heal people. And that
Mhm.
is one of the things that I think is so important. I think that when you're writing a book, that somebody actually can get something out of it that they can take away from them even after they put your book down. And that was what we really have done, I think, with Copeology, is giving them something that they could walk away with.
Wow, amazing, amazing. What would you say was the most challenging with working on this project? And I'm going to assume that the project is still ongoing. I mean, yes, the book is published and we're at the point that we're interviewing the authors, but it seems like there's always still more in terms of getting the information out there, getting feedback. So, of all of that process, what would you say is the most challenging, whether it's Copeology or just working on other books in general?
So I think the most challenging thing is working with different personalities, because in working with different personalities, you have to actually analyze and assess. Like for me, I have to assess, okay, who am I working with? And when you're doing a project, that's when everybody's thing comes to the surface. So if your thing is wanting everything to be perfect, that's when it's going to come to the surface the most. If your thing is, fear of something, whatever the fear is, that's going to come to the surface. And so for me, I think that those are the things that I kind of noticed the most with Copeology. Was that was the first time that I experienced that, but it was actually a lesson for me because it showed me how to be able to work with other authors when I'm counseling them and giving them suggestions and advice of how to approach certain situations so that they do feel at ease and they do feel supported.
Yes, yes. Okay, so a couple things. So, in case I haven't shown the book already, here it is right here, right? Copeology.
There we
Exploring
go. There it is.
coping. Yes, there it is. But something you just said made me think about therapy, and you said counseling others. So, it almost sounds like it can be like a therapeutic journey in terms of working with different people, personalities, what comes out. Because in the book, which I love about this anthology, everyone's own personality is in their story, including yours. Obviously, I read it, right? I wrote it. And so it's really good. And so, as you mentioned that, it reminded me of just kind of working in general with people, right? Um, First making that assessment and then being able to flex so that a project can get completed. I love it. Okay. Can you share a little bit about your thoughts on the book overall and maybe a little bit of snippet of your entry without disclosing too much? Because I want these viewers to be like, I have to get this book. These teasers are teasing me.
Okay. So wait, repeat the question again, just so I know
I
that I'm
know, right?
getting it.
It was a question, a statement, all of that. The question is to share like your favorite part of the book, like based on what you read of all the stories. But then the part two was your entry, just a
Mhm.
little bit about it, just a little bit.
Okay. So I think so far my favorite part of the book is um oh man, I can't think of the title of it. But my favorite part is the portion that talks about men's mental health.
Men's mental health. I got the title here. Legacy of Trauma, Healing a Black Man's Pain by Reverend Dr. Orlando Jermaine Bago.
Yes. So the reason his entry or his story impacted me the way that it did was I am the mother of a son. And as a mother of a son, I've never told my child to not embrace his emotion. However, there are some things that men just do. It's like they were born with this handbook of how to be a guy. And so he's not always connected with his emotions. He's not very good at communicating his feelings. And so, because of that, it actually resonated with me because what I learned is that there are grown men who feel the same way my son does. And so that's what made that be my favorite story. Now, as far as a teaser from my own entry,
Mm-hmm.
so I appeared on the Apollo. And my story is about that experience.
Yeah. Yes, I read
No,
it.
that's all I'm going to say because
I
it was an
read it and I
interesting
loved it.
experience. Remember that period of my life?
Yes, and I'm glad you said that's all you're gonna say because that word in itself is very historical, right? There's a lot of connections with even that word, what that means, people's experiences, people's first start, and there's not a lot of people that can talk about them being on the Apollo. And so I love it, love that story, and I will encourage the viewers to get this book and check out that story. So kind of sort of my last thought. What would you like to share? Like, what else would you like the viewers to know about you?
One thing that I would like the viewers to know about me. So you can always find me on social media. But one of the things that I really, really aim myself at doing is every year I compete with myself. And I think it's so important I see people say, oh, well, this person has this many followers. This person is doing this, that, and the other. And for me, I think your biggest challenge is competing with yourself. And so I don't think you should compare yourself to other people. I think you really should think about who you want to be and just be that person a little bit better every day. And so that would be something that I want people to know about me.
Wow. That's very, very profound. I've never heard that where a person is um, pretty much challenging themselves and competing with themselves. Most people want to compete with other people, right? Comparing. And like you said, social media is a perfect example. What is this person doing or not? How many likes did they get? Subscriptions did they get? And I think that is a unique, profound thought that I actually need to sit and ponder on, and I would love our viewers to do that, which is to compete with yourself. It means that you can be better and you want to win. The old you, right? The new you wants to win from the old you, whatever that means. And by it being January, I really think that's a good thought. I like that.
Thank you.
Tell us something that we don't know about you.
Okay, something that you don't know about me.
Something don't know about you.
Hmm. My favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you're right. I don't know all that about you. One of the things too, our relationship is about, what would you say, 6 years, 7 years now that we've known each other? Yeah. And
It's
in a
somewhere between that
variety
6 and 7 year mark now. Yeah.
6, 7 year mark in a variety of capacities. We've like really grown and worked together. And I really appreciate our relationship. I appreciate your friendship and definitely your business savvy, right? The things that you have pulled out of me. And it's just wonderful to work with you. I'm enjoying pulling you out from behind the scenes and bringing you here to get interviewed because normally, and you still are, you're the producer. You're the one that has the script, put it together, put everything. So we normally don't get a chance to meet the producer, who also happens to be a mother, a daughter, an author, a billing credential and person, right? There's a lot about this behind the scenes person.
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely.
what last thoughts or comments you have for the viewers?
So if you all are looking for a book club to join, please join our book club. We have a candid conversation with Peanut and Prin has started its own book club. That's the other show that I'm a host of. And we have just started. This year will be the first year, and we're actually doing 11 books during this time span, during the year. So we have a book that we're currently reading, Secrets and Their Roots. We have another book scheduled for next month. We actually will be featuring Copeology as our book. What is that, in March?
March.
And we are still looking for other books. So we are eager to hear from any new authors as well as some seasoned authors. But I think that would be my final tip or suggestion.
Excellent. I love it. I commend you. You're an inspiration to many people. Keep up the good work, right? I'm looking forward to continuing working with you and reading more of the information that you produce, whether it's through a book or even through a show. We really appreciate you. And so my last thought,
Well,
again,
I
comment, one,
thank you for having.
you're welcome. Definitely. And the last thing I wanted to share with the viewers is, again, this is the
Oh,
Ask.
I was just saying, I thank you for having me on the show on this side.
Yes, it's fun, right? This side is fun. So as often as we always say, Ask Dr. Joanne show is located on YouTube. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share it. Any
Yes.
information you think that someone you know would benefit from, please do. We also have a web page. So the web page is jflcounseling.com. So it's www.jflcounseling.com. We're available for therapy. We're available for speaking engagements. We also have a communications PR firm that work with us called KMR Communications. So if there's anything we can help with, please feel free to reach out. We're located on the internet, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. On that note, bye bye. And we will see you again as we continue interviewing authors of Copeology.